Okay, first of all, good afternoon to all of you present here. Okay, so let's start. Today, my topic is Advanced Research Applications and Opportunities in Generative AI. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri RamaKrishnaya Namah. So these are my research collaboration. I have a lot of international national collaboration, and these are my published journal in Q1. It's my Google Scholar. Now, today I'll be discussing about what is generative AI, and if you work with generative AI, if you want to work with generative AI, then you need to understand what is prompt engineering. And after that, I will give you brief introduction of different research application using this generative AI. So this is one of my article where I have written about ChatGPT 5, and this ChatGPT 5 will have the capability of artificial general intelligence AGI, and it will have a capability of the processing power of 25k GPUs. So in today's world, we are talking about generative AI and how it will work. So from here, we should start with the definition that what is generative AI. This Gen AI or generative AI is a type of AI, and it can create new content based on whatever you will give to that particular generative AI. So there is an engine. If you train the model, then it will give you some result. So the very crucial thing is that how to pre-train the model. So the process of learning from existing content, whatever content you are going to fit into this generative AI, that generative AI will learn that content. This learning phase is actually known as training. I think all of you are aware of that. And it will produce the result. Now, whatever the information I am giving to the particular generative AI, the generative AI will learn that information. So basically, we all know that what is AI, artificial intelligence. Now, what is machine learning? Machine learning is a subset of AI, right? Now, what is the problem in AI? AI will not be able to solve any open kind of problem. It can be used for solving any closed problem. But if I want to work with some open problem, I should move to the machine learning algorithm. Whenever I am talking about the machine learning algorithm, then I need to specify the features. What features my machine will learn. And this is the disadvantage of machine learning, because I need to select the features for that machine. So I can move to the next level, that is the deep learning. And what is deep learning? It's a subset of machine learning. So there was a shortcoming in machine learning. That's why I have moved to the deep learning. Now in deep learning, it also can solve the open kind of problem like the previous one, like machine learning. But what is the advantages here? The advantages here is that I do not need to specify the features explicitly. It can.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but the screen, the next slide isn't visible, sir. It's still stuck in the first slide.
Oh.
Only the first slide of the PPT is being visible, sir.
Okay, so I'm sharing again.
Yes, sir.
Now
Seems like it started, sir, but it still doesn't reflect on our screen, sir. Yeah, we'll be waiting, sir. Yeah.
is it visible? right now?
No, sir. No, sir. It's blank. Sir, I kindly request you to rejoin the meeting, sir. It may be the bandwidth issue.
Okay, okay.
Uh, Please kindly rejoin, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, attendance form ఎన్నిటి పోస్ట్ చేయమంటారు సార్? Yes, sir. Now it's
Visible.
perfectly all right, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now
Sorry for
slide
the
is
trouble, sir.
changing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's changing right now, right? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay. So here I'm talking about that deep learning. In case of deep learning, I do not need to specify the features. What is needed? I needed huge amount of data. If I produce huge amount of data to that particular machine, if I supply huge amount of data to the particular machine, machine will be able to understand the features. It have a capability to extract the features. But here the shortcoming is that I need huge amount of data. So this generative AI is actually a subset of deep learning. And we can say that this large language model, or we also say LLM, is a subset of deep learning. Now, in generative AI, we will talk about two particular things. One is discriminative approach, and that is called generative approach. So there are two modules. The discriminative approach is supported by the discriminator, and a generative approach is supported by the generator. Now, what is generator and what is discriminator? Now, the task of the discriminator is to classify something or predict something. What it gonna classify? What it gonna predict? The result produced by the generator will be predicted by this discriminator or will be classified by this discriminator. Now, this discriminator will train itself by label data. So we will supply some label data to the discriminator and we will train the discriminator. It learns the relationship between the features of the data point that is present in that data, and also it learns the label of that data. What is generator? Now this generator generates new data that is similar data it was trained on. So suppose I have supplied some data to this generator. Generator will learn the pattern of that data. It will learn the inside of the data, and it has the capability to generate new data. That data will be look like the previous one. The data will be look like the original one it was trained. So look at here very minutely. It can understand the distribution of data and how likely a given example is. And it has also a capability to predict the next word in a sequence. I think those who knows the LSTM, long short-term memory, or RNN, recurrent neural network, that have the capability to predict the next word. These LSTM and RNN both can be used in NLP, natural language processing. Now, there is a competition between this generator and the discriminator. What type of competition? Generator will generate same type of result. Same type of result means the result it was trained on. So the generator will generate some result. If I supply some text, it will generate similar kind of text. If I supply some image, it will generate similar kind of image. Now is the task of discriminator to discriminate that whatever the image or text or video generated by this generator, this is not the original one. This is a fake content. So discriminator will label that no, generator, whatever you have generated, this is not an original one. This is a fake content. Now generator will learn again and it will generate a new content. Again, the discriminator will evaluate that thing. If discriminator fails to predict that this one is a fake content, then generator wins and we will accept that particular result or that particular things. That may be an image, that may be a video, that may be a text. So this is the working mechanism of generative adversarial neural network. It's called GAN. Look at here. Here, what is the discriminative technique? If I supply one dog image to the generator, to the discriminator, then it will classify the image and it will classify that it's a dog image or cat image, right? And what is the purpose of generator? The purpose of the generator is that if I supply one dog image to the generator, generator will be able to generate similar kind of image. So it will generate a similar kind of dog image. So this generative artificial intelligence has the ability to mimic human creativity and generate content autonomously. And this GI includes large language model. That means it has the capability to translate the content. That means if I give some content in English, it can be able to translate in Hindi. And also this generator can be used for the recommendation purpose. Also, it can be used to make the data set, right? Here, look at this particular slide. Here, for the first time, in case of machine learning model, what we are doing? We are actually feeding the data and the labels. That means we are supplying supervised data. That means the data which has some labels to my machine, to my ML model, and it will output something, it will predict something or classify something. Now look at here. In case of generative AI, we are actually feeding the unstructured data or the unstructured content. And the generative AI model has the capability to learn the pattern of the unstructured content and it will produce a new content. Now, what kind of content can be delivered here? So, using this machine learning system, machine learning can give you the output in the form of what? In the form of number, class, probability, or in a discrete value. But in case of generative AI, it can produce natural language, image, audio, or video. Now, this is the function y equals to f of x. So f function is my model and x is my input data. So my model is working on my input data and it will produce the output y, right? So in case of any classical supervised and unsupervised learning, As I told you, that I need to supply the training data. That means I need to supply the label data in case of supervised learning, and my model will be able to predict or classify, or in case of unsupervised learning, my model will be able to cluster something. But in case of generative AI, if I produce labeled data or unlabeled data, then what will happen? My model will create new content that can work as a text generator. It can generate text. It can also generate new content. It can also generate code. Uh, if I ask any LLM model to write code, write Python code for this particular things, it will give you that Python code. And also it can generate image. Look at here, in case of traditional programming language, what will happen? In case of traditional programming language, we need to write the code, but here the generative AI has the capability to produce the code. Now, in case of neural network, we can classify that this particular image is a cat image or not, right? So I can ask question, is that a cat image or not? Whenever we are using generative AI model, then this generative AI will learn lot of cat images. That means we need to pretend our model so that when I produce some cat image, it will be able to give me the response that, okay, this one is the cat image. So this basic things that this generative language model, as I mentioned you, that it's learn the complex pattern present in your language through the training data, the data you have supplied. And then given some text, when you are working with generative AI, if you supply some text, they predict what comes next. Okay. And in case of generative image model, the generative image model produce new image using the techniques called diffusion. Then, given a prompt or related imagery, they transform random noise into image or generate image from prompts. So it will learn the pattern of that image and it will be able to generate different kind of images. Here also, you can guide your model that what kind of image you need. That means if you want to need only the partial image, the side image, it will generate that particular image. So you can manipulate the image also. Now using generative AI, so it's very much clear that we can generate text, we can generate image, and we can generate video. So when we are talking about generation of text, it can be useful for translation purposes,
Sir,
summarize it.
excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, there's still the same problem is keep on arising, sir. We can't see, yeah, we can see your biodata, I mean, your title, and that's what I can see, sir. The slide isn't changing.
Okay, I'm joining with different network, I think.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. We are trying to resolve from our side also, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Sorry, sir.
Is it visible? So should I continue? I think, is it visible? Okay, okay, okay. So I'm continuing. So I think it's visible, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not visible. Not visible.
It is visible, sir, now.
Okay.
Visible,
It's
sir.
changing. It's changing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. ChatGPT, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So I was talking about this was my article, and then I've talked about what is generative AI. Okay, if you can't view anything, then you please notify me. Okay.
Sure, sir.
So okay. So okay. So I've talked about the subset that machine learning is a superset of deep learning. It's changing or not?
Yes, sir. It is changing.
Okay, okay, okay. So I have talked about the machine learning, and the subset of machine learning is deep learning. Then I have talked about that generative AI is also a subset of deep learning, and also I've talked about the discriminator and the generator. That what's the purpose of discriminator and what's the purpose of generator in this slide. And also, if I supply one image to the discriminator, and if I ask the discriminator to discriminate whether this image is a real image or a fake image, then the discriminator should classify that, okay, this one is a fake or this one is a real image. Now, generator will generate some image. That image will be tested by the discriminator. If discriminator that whatever the generator generates, that is a fake one, then generator fails, then discriminator wins. But if discriminator will not be able to classify that this one is a fake image, then generator will, discriminator fails. So in this way the mechanism will work, and the generative AI can generate different contents, text contents, image contents, and the video content also. So I was in this slide. So generative language models learn about patterns. So I think numerous times I have uttered that term, that it actually captured the inner meaning of your data or image or video. That means the inner patterns, so that it can train that pattern. Look at here. So if I write something, I'm making a sandwich with peanut butter, and now after completion of this initial steps, I will give you the application part. Generative AI, how you can be using generative AI in your research. Okay. So if I ask the meaning of life is, now it will give you some answer. So how it works? As I mentioned, that pre-training is a very much important here. So you need large amount of data to pre-train the model. You need billions of parameters, and it's an unsupervised learning.
Sir,
So
screen.
yes,
Sir, have you stopped the screen share, sir?
no.
Seems like it stopped, sir.
Why it's stopping?
Huh.
It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Don't know why this kind of problem is arising. So, uh, okay. So here we are talking about the transformer. Okay. So this transformer has a capability to encoding the component, and also it can decode the component. It will actually taking the input, then it will encode and then decode. And the generative pre-trained transformer model, it takes the output from the transformer. Then the generative pre-trained model will work and it will produce the output. Okay. And the most vital thing is here the hallucination. This hallucination is a problem here. Hallucinations are words or phrases that are generated by the model that are often nonsensical or grammatically incorrect. So whatever the text generated by this particular generative AI models, we need to check that one. Is that a correct one or not? It can also generate some fake news or some fake content, some invalid content also. So it is basically when it generates invalid content that we need to understand that how it was pre-trained. So it needs huge amount of data to be trained on, then only it will give you the near optimal result. Now these are the challenges. The model is not trained on enough data, as I mentioned. The model is trained on noisy or dirty data. That's why model will not be able to produce the actual outcome or the acceptable outcome. The model is not given enough context. The model is not given enough constraints. So these are the things. That's why you are not getting the correct output. So prompt design is a very much important in case of large language model,
Sir, I
in case
couldn't
of generative
funny,
AI.
sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Monday,
It's visible or not?
no, sir.
I, I think I'm stopped share. I have stopped sharing, and again I'm sharing the screen. I'm rejoining. Sharing again. Now,
Yes, sir. Prompt design, the quality of, yes, sir.
yeah. So prompt design is a very much important thing here.
Yeah.
That how will you give input to that particular generative AI model? That means depending upon your prompt design quality, your quality of the output will depend. That means prompting means summarization of your text. So look at here. I'm going to some different slides so that I can show you how this prompting actually works. Okay. Here, just a minute. Okay. So this prompt engineering, this is visible, this light,
No, sir.
not visible. Prompt
No,
engineering.
sir. No, sir. It's still in the prompt design, sir.
What happening?
Your cursor isn't moving, sir.
Is it visible or not?
Not yet, sir. Sir, would you mind to share the PPT, sir? I would like to host from my side.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That will be better, I think,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
because yeah. So so okay. Please send the mail ID.
Sir,
Kindly send the okay mail ID so that I can share the PPT.
sure, sir. I'll post it in the chat box, sir.
Okay.
Please kindly check the mail chat box, sir. Sir, have you sent the mail, sir?
Yeah, I just yeah, I've seen that mail. Okay.
I still haven't received it, sir. Yes, sir. I received it just now. Sir, I'll be screen sharing, sir,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't mind. Yes, sir. Sir, can you see my screen, sir?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's visible. Okay, please make it full screen.
Sure, sir. Sir, I guess it's now visible, sir.
Mm, we change the slide. Are you changing the slide? I'm not able
Yes,
to
sir.
see.
Yes, sir. Now
I'm
we are
not,
in generative AI intelligence, GAI.
no, I'm not able to see that one.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, right now, I think you are in a slide of doc image classification. I'm
Yes,
seeing.
sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. So the problem comes when we use the full screen, sir.
okay. If I make it full
So
screen, then it's a
now,
problem, right?
yeah, now can you see, sir?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right now, I can see that
Yeah.
one.
Recommendations and
Yeah, yeah,
data
yeah.
labels input.
It's
Yes.
smoothly
Then,
changing. Yeah.
yeah, then that's the problem, sir.
Okay, okay. So if I share the screen with this minimal view, then
Yes.
there will
Yes,
be
sir.
any problem.
Now there will be no issue, sir.
Okay, so I'm trying once again. Okay, sorry for this inconvenience, but I don't know why this problem is arising.
Sir.
So if you please stop sharing, then I can share that one.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Sure, sir. So now you can start sharing, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm sharing. Now it's visible.
Yes, sir. We are in slide 65.
Yeah, prompt engineering, right?
Yes, sir.
So this prompt engineering is very much useful in ChatGPT. As I mentioned you that I need to specify the right question to that particular ChatGPT or any kind of generative AI model. So look at here. Sorry. So look at here. This ChatGPT. When we are talking about this ChatGPT, right now we are using GPT-4 of the GPT Plus version, and then what is actually prompt engineering, how it works. So ChatGPT also a generative AI model, and we need to pre-train the model. So ChatGPT begins with a pre-training phase where the model is trained on a massive data set. So we need massive data set to pre-train my model, and the data can be gathered from the internet. And during this phase, the model learns the pattern, structure, relationship already we have discussed. Now, what is the architecture? In the architecture point of view, I have already shown one slide of transformer. So it's actually uses the transformer architecture. Okay, and in this transformer architecture, this ChatGPT is using attention-based model. Now, the very important phase or step of this ChatGPT is called tokenization. What do you mean by tokenization? It will tokenize the input in smaller unit. So if I supply one sentence, it will subdivide the sentence into smaller words, even if it can subdivide the word into subwords. Okay. And it will assign one numerical value to each subdivide unit. For each unit, it will assign one numeric value. Okay. And what is the purpose of this numeric value? It will maintain the sequence. Okay. Otherwise, if the sequence is not maintained, then the word will be jumbled up, the meaning may get changed. Now, this positional encoding is also important. If one particular word is misplaced, if it changes its position, the meaning can be changed. That's why previously I have mentioned one numeric value should be assigned as a positional value, and this positional encoding is also important to provide some information about the positions of tokens. In a sequence, positional encoding is added. Then model layers. Here we need to think of several layers. Each layer will have different filtering capability. So this model can consist of multiple layers.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, we are stuck in slide 65, sir.
Slide 65.
Yes,
73
sir.
is not
The
visible.
prompt. No, sir.
Okay. So I think you show me. It will be better. You please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it will be better.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise,
Okay, sir.
the problem still exists.
Okay, sir.
Please. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. Okay. 71.
Okay. Yes, sir. 1 minute.
Okay. So I was talking about this model layers. So this model consists of multiple layers, and each layer has a self-attention mechanism. And each layer refines the understanding of the input depending upon the context given to it. And then the training objective. So during this pre-training, we need to specify the objective. That means the model is trained to predict the next word in a sequence based on the context of preceding words. So whatever the word I have given in the previous example, that I am using peanut butter, and what I can use additionally. So in this context, they will generate the text. And then the parameter tuning. Parameter tuning involved the supervised learning. We can tune different parameters so that it can be able to translate, summarize, and it can also give you the question answering environment. Next slide. Okay. Now, important thing is called prompt handling. So in the context of this ChatGPT, the prompt handling means how efficiently you ask some question to this ChatGPT, or how efficiently you are providing some information, so that based on your information, this ChatGPT model give you the correct answer. What do you mean by correct here? The correct means this what is actually fuzzy. Correct means in which context you are getting your output. So you need to specify that I want to suppose I am working on a recognition of partial image of human. So if I ask to write code to the chat GPT, if I write that please write a code to recognize a partial image of a human, now what will happen? What code will be generated by this chat GPT? You need to specify in which platform, in which language you want that code. If I specify write a Python code, then it will be more precise way to instruct the chat GPT that I need a Python code. Or if you specify that write a Python code for this, where you should consider 70% of this data set as my training data and 30% of this data as my testing data. Then it will write that code according to your instruction. If you do not specify the instruction, it will not be able to generate the right thing. Then you will understand that, okay, it's not giving me the right answer. So you need to specify the things very well. And then sampling and output generation. That means the model generate responses using sampling technique. Now here different sampling technique can be used. Temperature based sampling technique, higher temperature makes the output more random actually. And then post-processing comes here. The generated output is post-processed to convert numerical tokens back into human readable text. So as I mentioned, that token actually gets some number. It also get encoded. Now after processing all these things in the post-processing phase, I need to back this sequence number to the actual form. That means a human readable text form. Okay. And then user interaction loop. That means you can ask several questions. Depending upon the answer given by this ChatGPT, you can answer again another question. It can give you the answer. Next one. Okay. Next slide. So now what is prompt? Very simple definition. So a prompt refers to an input provided to its generator, a response or output. Okay. So prompt refers to an input provided to it. So whatever the input I am providing to my LLM model, that is called prompt. Okay. And user can interact with and give instruction to the ChatGPT using that features. Okay. So suppose for some example or for sake of simplicity, I can give you one example that I want to write abstract of a paper, or I want to write introduction of a paper. Then I need to specify that ChatGPT, think of yourself as a writer of this paper, and this paper should be submitted in this journal, and the context of the paper is this. Now you have a huge knowledge about this domain. Kindly specify or kindly generate some text of initial introduction for this. Then only it will be able to generate introduction in a right context. So before working with NLM model, you need to first prepare the prompt. After setting the prompt properly, now you can start interaction. Okay, next. So this technique is called prompt engineering. Okay, so prompt engineering is like figuring out the best way to talk to this robot or to this software or to this particular model. So we need to specify. It's not a very simple problem, because if I say that write something for me, and if it will not produce you the optimum thing, then I need to change my instruction. So in this way, I can interact with any LLM model using prompt engineering. Next. So look at here. So what will be the responsibility of a prompt engineer? Now, iterative refinement, that means one output is generated by this ChatGPT. You need to evaluate that output. After evaluation, if you accept that one, it's okay. If you not accept that one, you can again ask that I don't want this information. I want this type of information. Also supply some extra amount of information based on which it can again generate some new text for you. Evaluation and feedback. Okay. Research and innovation. Then collaboration and communication. That means you are actually communicating to the ChatGPT model. You need to design your prompt and you need to clarify your content. So, and context integration is very much important. And also the very crucial thing here is called bias and mitigation. Okay. So you need to handle all these things. These are the responsibility of any prompt engineer. Next. So how to write an effective prompt? Look at here, simple one example is given. please identify the goal. So this is my you need to identify the goal, that what you are actually want. So for writing prompts, it is crucial for user to first determine the purpose. You need to specify your purpose for which you are actually want to desire the outcome. Okay. Then provide the specific details, and you need to specify the relevant information. Okay. I will show you all this through some examples. Next. Okay, next one. Yeah, so using this type of artificial intelligence tool, you can ask any open-ended question. As I told you, the need of this particular machine learning or deep learning model is to solve any open kind of problem. Okay, and ask question in such a way so that generative AI will not just give you the answer in yes, no, or true, false form. You need to ask him to describe why you are giving this answer, right? So that you can get the actual essence of that answer. Next. So what is the crucial importance of this prompt engineering for AI research and development, data science and analytic purposes? Next. For any chatbot development, for content generation purposes, ethical AI and bias mitigation purposes. So these are actually for this particular applications, this prompt engineering is very much useful. Okay, next. So these are some applications areas you can focus. Okay, and also for startup and innovation hubs, you can also use this particular prompt engineering. Okay, so next. Yeah, so these are the different domain where you can use this prompt engineering. These are the summaries: any natural language processing tasks, any chatbot assistance, content generation, mentioned you already, any recommendation system, any frequently asked question if you want to generate any FAQ questions. If you want to do some data analysis, also we can do that. Next. Okay, so how to become ChatGPT prompt engineer? You need to understand the model. You need to learn the NLP very well, so that you will be able to understand how this ChatGPT is actually working, how the large language model is working with this text. Okay, next. And you need to explore some different use cases also. And you need to develop some domain expertise, because if you want to work in a healthcare sector, in a finance sector, then you need some expertise so that you will be able to ask the right question to that LLM model. Next. And you need to explore some tools. Okay, and also you can build your profile, that you can know that prompt engineering, you have done some prompt engineering project. You can create your portfolio. Next. These are the very frequently asked question. What exactly is ChatGPT prompt engineering? I have already given you some idea. And why is prompt engineering important for ChatGPT? Okay, if you don't set the prompt, then it will not give you the correct answer or the answer you actually want. Do I need a background in AI to master ChatGPT prompt engineering? So this AI background is helpful, very much helpful. Okay. And how can I showcase my prompt engineering skill? Now you need to build your portfolio by designing different prompts for different use cases. Next. Okay. So now from here, this is the interesting part of my lecture. Now from here, we will give you some example how you can use this ChatGPT or generative AI in your research. Okay. So people are saying that a lot of pupils are generating text using ChatGPT and they are writing a research paper. That is not a good practice. A lot of tools are there through which it will be able to detect that whatever you have written, whether it is generated by the ChatGPT like model or not. Okay. So GPT detector is there. No GPT is one of the platform through which any kind of detection you can detect whether this particular thing is written by any generative AI or not. So what is the basic application of this generative AI in research? Now look at this one. So if I ask that ChatGPT, can you brainstorm 20 channels through which AI may increase inequality? It will list down some channels. Suppose I do not know what is machine learning. If I ask to the ChatGPT, okay, please provide me some machine learning model, explain me what is support vector machine, it will give me result. Those who have some idea about machine learning model, deep learning model, now if I ask one question that I am working in an intrusion detection problem in vehicular network. So I do not know which machine learning model will be the best one for working intrusion detection in vehicular network. Then I can ask the ChatGPT that provide me some machine learning model that is helpful for detecting intrusion in vehicular network. It will give you the result. Now, I think all of you are thinking that, okay, this is very simple things. Next is that suppose they gave you, the ChatGPT gave you one option, support vector machine is one of the machine learning model. You can use that. Now, what will be your next question? The next question is that show me different support vector machines models. So there may be a linear SVM, maybe non-linear SVM. So there are different support vector machines models are available. And what are the different support vector machines model which can be applicable for this type of problem? They will give you the answer. Now again, one step ahead, if you ask some question that, okay, give me some advanced machine learning model that can be helpful for this purpose, it will also give you this advanced machine learning model. Now, if you ask some question that, okay, why you have specified me 4 advanced machine learning model or 4 basic machine learning model or 4 support vector machines model, please tell me which model can be used in which situation. It will give you the insight. It will give you the information. So my suggestion is that in this way, you can use the ChatGPT so that it can guide you. Now, after taking the guidance, it's totally depend on you. You can deploy that thing, you can write the code, and you can develop by your own. But initial guidance can be given by this generative AI model. Next slide. Okay, so look at here. Here I have uploaded one PDF, one paper, research paper, and I've asked this question, can you suggest ways to improve this paper? Look at here. I'm not writing anything using ChatGPT. I'm not copying text, whatever generated by the ChatGPT. I am not doing any kind of misuses of ChatGPT. I'm just asking that, can you suggest the way how to improve the quality of this paper? It will guide me. That is the aim of the research should be, that initial guidance you can gather from this type of tools. So after getting the guidance, now you can change that things by your own. Next, look at here. So again, providing counter arguments. That means whatever ChatGPT given you the answer based on the previous question, I'm writing here, I'm working on an economic model that predicts that cognitive automation will increase inequality. What are top 5 counter arguments? One line each. So if I get these counter arguments, one line each, now I can get an idea at how to write that one elaborately or how to discuss this point elaborately, right? Next. Look at here. Write a paragraph in the style of an academic economist that integrates the following points, include a topic sentence. Look at here. I have given some points. I asked the ChatGPT to write something so that can include all these points. So the ChatGPT will give me this paragraph. So this is for only for guidance purpose. If I read this paragraph, I can get some idea. If I get some idea, then I can reconstruct the paragraph by our own knowledge. Okay, so it will help you in this purpose, in this way. Next, look at here. Now, here the question is, can you correct the following sentence? So one sentence is written. If I ask to correct this sentence, look at here, it will guide me. It will say these are the bold word where this ChatGPT finds some error. Now if I ask again, this is prompt engineering. I'm asking again, can you explain the main correction you made? It will also explain. So if I give some line, look at there, the line was this paper, THEAC. ChatGPT has modified with THIS this paper. So in this way, they can modify the things. And whatever, and also I should ask question that what was the error, what you have correct, what you have done, what are the correction you have made. If I ask all these things, then I can confirm that okay, ChatGPT has made the right correction. Next. So evaluating text, look at here. The chat number 7 is mentioning here, give a concise list of the top 5 stylized shortcomings of the following abstract. So this abstract is given and it will it will give you some shortcomings of this paragraph, like lack of clarity, overuse of passive voice, like that. So again, I am saying it will guide you. After taking the guidance from here, now you can rectify yourself. Next. Look at here. This question is that generating titles and headlines. Now, suppose you have given the abstract to the ChatGPT of your research paper and you have asked the ChatGPT, based on this abstract, please give me that what may be the title of that paper, or please suggest 10 different titles for this abstract. And also I can ask that out of these 10 titles, which one is very much correct one, or which one is very much maybe suited for this particular research journal. So in this way, I can ask question. It will give you the answer. Okay. Look at here. Also, we can promote our research paper. I can look at the chat number 9. Here I have asked, write 3 or 4 tweets that summarize the following text. Use simple sentences and make them catchy. That means I have given the abstract. It will give you some short 2-3 lines text so that I can paste, I can tweet it so that I can promote my research paper. Okay, next. Next one is called background research. Very much important that you need to summarize some text. So if you upload your documents, if you ask to summarize the following text, it will summarize you. If you upload one paper, research paper, and if you ask the ChatGPT or any kind of like Gemini or any kind of generative AI model that, okay, give me the insight of this paper, what are the main contribution of this paper, it will give you that answer. Okay. So in this way, they will give you the answer, and also they will give you some related works regarding your paper and also generate citation for your paper. Next. This is an example of translating text. You can translate any text in different language, Spanish, German, French, Hindi, any different languages. explaining the concept. So you have given something, you need to you have asked the ChatGPT to explain the concept for you. Also, you can write code using ChatGPT. Next, look at here. So here it will give you some graphs. Okay, depending upon your code, depending upon your tables, it can generate some graphs so that you can get understand. Suppose you are not able to understand what the first graph is saying. If you input that particular picture to the ChatGPT, if you ask to the GPT that, okay, please explain me this graph, it will explain this graph for you. Next. Okay, explaining code, I think all of you know that. If you do not understand a part of a code or the complete code, you can paste that code and you can ask that, okay, please explain the each and every line of this code. What is the purpose of this line? What this particular function is doing? So it will guide you. Okay, and also you can translate code. That means if you written any code in MATLAB, you want to translate that code into Python, it can translate the code. Okay, so that we can save our time. Okay. Also it can debugging the code. If you are getting some error, then you can paste that part of your code and you can ask that this type of error I am getting for this part of this portion of code, please tell me or suggest me or rectify the code, right? So in this way it can rectify the code. Also it can also this is a very simple one, any kind of spelling mistake, grammatical mistake can rectify. Next. Okay, for any data analysis purpose, for any research paper, you need some data analysis graph. So if you keep some content, some results, some tables, it will generate the graph. If you ask for the pie chart, it will generate the pie chart. If you ask for the line graph, it will generate the line graph. You need to upload the .csv file, comma separated value file. .csv file, it will analyze the file, it will give you the answer. Okay, next. Next, this is called extracting data from text. So you can extract some data from the text, whatever the text given to you. Look at here, marks get, you have written something in a text format, it will convert in a optimized way. Next, reformatting data. Look at here, you want to generate a table, you want from a CSV file, you want to generate a table, it will give you a table. Okay, so in this way you can use these particular things. Next is called extracting sentiment. So from a particular site, from a particular message, it can also generate some sentiment. Okay, and also it can simulating some human subject, that this is aggressive or not. Okay, then what kind of sentiment is there, it can also think of that. Next, this is called mathematical derivation. Now it can also derive mathematical equation for you. Okay, so it can write some equations for you, it can solve some optimization problems, some different kind of mathematical problem for you, so that it will guide you that this, suppose you are actually working on hyperchaotic system, so you want to analyze something using hyperchaotic system. So if you instruct this ChatGPT to give me the 7-dimensional equation for the hyperchaotic system, it will give you that information. It will give you that equation, it will generate the equation. Next, so setting up any model, generating equation, derive any functions, these are all useful application of this ChatGPT or any kind of generative AI model. Okay, next. So these are the screenshot. I think all of you have seen that one, and there are different usefulnesses that different. I have mentioned different categories: some mathematical equation, data analysis problem, coding problem. If you want to do some background research, if you want to write something, or if you want to take some feedbacks, right? So I have mentioned. Look at this table. I have covered all these things, that how you can use ChatGPT for developing or for writing your research paper. Okay. Next. This is the opportunity of generative AI by this 2030, that so the repetitive tasks we will not do any repetitive tasks. It will reduce the repetitive tasks. Okay, next. The same graph next. Okay, so the firstest things in right now is that people is becoming experts in AI. Now one thing, next slide. Okay, next slide. Yeah, now whatever I have talked till now, everything is dependent on data. Look at here. In the initial slide, I have covered what is generative AI, how generative AI works. That's why I have visited the pre-training of generative AI slide. And there I have mentioned what is transformer. And there also I have mentioned that why you may not be satisfied with the output generated by this generative AI, because you do not have huge amount of data. So if you had huge amount of data, then only you can go for the deep learning, and then you can move for the generative part. Okay. So look at here. What is the most interesting part of this generative AI? One of the interesting part of this generative AI is that you can use generative AI in your research. That means you can use the generative AI for any kind of classification problem, any kind of prediction problem, or you can use generative AI for writing your research paper. But the thing is that whenever you are using generative AI for predicting something, for classifying something, one thing is there: you need huge amount of data. Where from you will gather the data? You may ask me that the data can be gathered from anywhere, from any data set. The data set is available in our websites. But look at here. My model will work perfectly if I feed perfect data to my model. That means if I take instance of cyber security crime in our India, then think of that. How many pupils actually report about that crime? So if the number of actual report is less, then I will get less amount of actual data. So using this amount of data, how can I train my generative AI model? So whenever we are talking about research development using generative AI, one point we can get stuck here, that we do not have sufficient data to train my model, because generative AI needs huge amount of data. So information is the oil of this 21st century. And this analytics is the combustion engine. And whenever you are talking about the information, it should be a processed data, and it should be given to the right person to the right time. And we are saying that data is a new oil, right? Next. And also we are talking about data is a desert. So data are the result of deliberate human intervention, and data are varied across the domain. So one problem is that in case of machine learning and deep learning model, you need structured data. If you have the structured data, you can feed that data to that particular model, you can get the result. But the number of structured data is less, huge amount of unstructured data are there. So how to tackle this unstructured data? So generative AI is here. Generative AI can tackle this unstructured data. That's why we are using generative AI. Next. So from different IoMT devices or IoT devices or IIoT devices, in that means Internet of Things, Internet of Medical Things, Industrial Internet of Things, IoST, Internet of Healthcare Things, IoE, Internet of Everything. So lot of sensors are there. We can gather a lot of data. The problem is that how to structure that data, right? Next. So data are varied across the domain, and also data are varied within the domains. Next, the main problem is that how to work with that data. Next, now look at this pyramid. So here I have talked about data, that means the raw fact. Now we need to produce the information from the data. So a lot of people say that the processed data is an information. This is not a correct one. The meaningful data, that should be a meaningful one, number one. That should be given to the right person, number two, and that should be delivered in timely manner, number three. Then it will be an information, otherwise this is not a valid information. An insight into appropriate action based on interpreted data will be known as knowledge, and appropriate application of that knowledge will be called wisdom. So wisdom is the peak of my pyramid. Okay, next. Okay, look at this slide. So there are different type of data, okay, generated by different sector: banking sector, insurance sector, maybe any manufacturing sector, retailing sector, educational sector, government sector. So these are the different kind of data: text data, audio data, image data, and video data. Most of them are unstructured. Next, there are 13 different forms of data: structured, unstructured, semi-structured data. This is a one kind of form. Next is timestamp data. Next is machine data. Okay, so in this way there are 13 different kinds of data available to you. The big question is that how to handle all this data. So this is another thing. In case of big data analytics, we can handle this situation. Next. So there are these are the different application field where we can use this data in data analytics, AI, big data analytics, robotics, IoT, industry 4.0. Right now it's industry 5.0 we are talking about. So these are the variety of domains where we can apply this knowledge, or we can gather some data and we can use that data for this particular application. Next. So what is the learning objective? Now data fluency. Data fluency means build competence working with multimodal data set. Your data set should be multimodal one. Okay. And exposure to the full data science workflow. And you should have to be a data detective. Data detective, and also we can say that prompt detective. Like my previous example, I have told you that you need to find out the way that if I ask in this way to the ChatGPT will give me this answer. If I modify my question, ChatGPT also modify the answer. So in this way, your nature should be like that. You need to find out the right question for the ChatGPT, or here the right data to work. Okay, next. Now, this is one of the example of generative AI. This is called Rabindranath Tagore. So here we have used LSTM and RNN model, recurrent neural network model. Why? So that we can generate a new text, new poem, and it will be look like that it is written by Rabindranath Tagore. So what we have done, we have gathered all the literature of Rabindranath Tagore and we have fitted that particular information to that LSTM and model, stack LSTM model and the RNN model, and it will give me the answer. That means it will generate new songs, new drama, new poems will be look like the Rabindranath Tagore style writing. Next. This is the actually flowchart of the particular proposed methodology. Next one. Now I will show you some screenshot from here. This is written in Bengali, that for the first time it has generated one poem, but the quality of the poem is not good. Okay, why I am talking about not good? Because if I check the writing style of Rabindranath Tagore, And the writing style of this particular poem by the LSTM model, it's not at par. So I have changed my model. I have tuned the parameter. Next. And that's why I have used stacked LSTM. And then I got this particular result. Okay. And it's much better than the previous one. Next. Now again I have trained, again I have generated some result by tuning the parameter, by changing the training testing size, by changing the millibatch size. Next slide. It will okay, next slide. It will generate again a new kind of information, a new kind of text that is quite look like it's written by Rabindranath Tagore. So in this way, what we can do, in this way, we can generate a new text using the previous one, using the previous text. So in this particular snapshot, it's clearly mentioned what was my training model, what was the size of my LSTM, how many layers I have used, everything is given here. And using this particular technique, we have developed that thing. Next. So this is one of the research application. Next one. Next slide. Yeah, this is the same slide. Next. This slide is for this particular reason. Look at here. So previous slide. This, yeah. These are two things we have generated. Previous one. Yeah, this one. The first output, figure 14. This is one of the song using stacked LSTM where temperature is 1.0. This is the parameter. Temperature is one of the parameters. And now if I increase the temperature 1.5, then it will generate more dense text. So this is the difference. Now this is quite look like Rabindranath Tagore style writing. So in this way we can generate new text using the existing one. Next one. Now this generative AI, as I mentioned you, that we need huge amount of data. So the previous example, we have fitted huge amount of poems, drama, songs to that model. Then only model will give you the accurate result or the near optimal solution. So we need to generate some data. This generated data, the data generated by this generative AI is known as synthetic data. Synthetic data. Why this synthetic data is needed? Because we do not have sufficient original data. As I mentioned one example regarding the cyber crime, if I do not have huge amount of data regarding the cyber crime, then I need to generate some synthetic data so that I can train my model. Otherwise, I will not be able to train my model because my model needs huge amount of data. Okay, so how to generate data from this generative AI? This is another part, another application of generative AI. So data set generation. Next. So here, what we are actually doing, this generative AI can produce different data sequences as output and must be trained using sequential data like sentences and payment histories. So what is my particular, what type of data I want to generate? If I want to generate some cybercrime information, fraud, non-fraud kind of situation, if I want to classify, okay, this one is a fraud transaction or non-fraud transaction, then I need to generate a lot of transactions using some existing transaction. If I have small amount of existing transaction, I need to use that transaction to train my model. And if I ask the generator, please generate some new transaction and give that transaction to the discriminator. If discriminate that no, this one is a fake one, then I will tell the generator, I will not accept the transaction you have generated. If discriminator fails to predict that it is a fake transaction, that means discriminator fails, then only I can accept that transaction. Okay. In this way, I can make our own data set. Next. So these are the, as I mentioned to you, the same thing is covered here. Next one. Okay, another example. An automation text generation which can learn literature of Bengali writers and generate text accordingly given some seat. That means what we are doing, this particular AI learns from writers' previous literature. Then given some text, it can continue generating the rest as the writer would have written. So like the previous example, like the Rabindranath Tagore literature, and it will generate the same kind of literature. Okay, next. This is one of the example, one of the application area, one of the research area. Again, here I have used GRU, rated recurrent unit, and the RNN for this purpose. Next. So this is the proposed methodology where, look at here in this particular example. If it was in slideshow form, you may have seen that some letter is written here. It can generate some automatic text and I can save that text. So it is not in a full slide mode. That's why you are not be able to get the essence of this particular exe file. Next. Same thing, next. Okay. Now, data science and machine learning approach to continuous analysis of Shakespeare's plays. Look at here. Here I have worked with the Shakespeare's plays. What was my aim? Now here we apply comprehensive machine learning model to analyze some Shakespeare's plays. And after analyzing all these plays, what is our aim? Our aim to figure out that the style of Shakespeare writing. Suppose, look at here, the last line is written, for instance, Romeo and Juliet is dated 1596, but is more similar in stylometric to play written by Shakespeare after 1600. So in this way, we can compare between the stylometric approaches. So in this, these are the different way of application of machine learning model or generative AI model in this literature. Next. These are the graph actually for the previous problem, predicted year and the name of the Shakespeare plays and what are the different relationship among these plays depending upon the cyclometric nature. Next. Same graph, this is for the pronoun frequency versus the year. This graph is actually basically for the Shakespeare plays for different years. Next. Okay. So as I told you, the Shakespeare play generator. Here also like the Rabindranath Tagore plays, it can generate a play and it may seem that it may be generated by the Shakespeare. So in this way, I can train my model. Again, I am saying that the quality of the content generated by the generator solely depend upon in which content the generator was trained. If it is trained using rich content, it will give you the good result. Next. Here, the thing is that I will give you one text to that particular model. It will give me the right name of the writer. So after analyzing the writing style, it will give me the name of the writer. This is another application in literature. Next. Now, another interesting application of generative AI for cyber attack. Okay, so generative AI and LLM tools for cyber attack. So till now, I have talked about how generative AI can be used for research in literature, for literature. Now here, generative AI can be used for cyber attack also. Next slide, how we can use generative AI or how not we, hackers are using generative AI. Look at here. In this ChatGPT prompt, any hacker or anyone can write these particular things. Explain the MITM attack for beginners. MITM means man in the middle attack. It will give you the answer. Okay, next slide. Now, next question. Can you explain this for 7-year-old kid? So it will explain for 7-year-old kid means it will explain in simple way. So after getting this knowledge, a person will be able to know what is MITM attack. Next. Now, look at the question. Very interesting one. Next question is that, write what we are doing. The next question is that, what is SQL injection? What is SQL injection, right? And provide some real life examples. So it will give you some real life examples of SQL injection, and also it will give you some brief idea about SQL injection. Next. The question is that, till now I haven't shown you how this ChatGPT can be used for cyber attack. Look at here. Minutely look the question. Generate a CTF challenge that contains an SQL injection. Look at here. It will give you the answer. Okay. Next. Okay. It will give you the answer. Next answer is continuing. Next. Continuation version of the answer. Next. Yeah. Next. My question was, generate a phishing email. All of you will know that it will not generate the content. If I asked, previous slide, please. If I asked to generate a phishing email, what it will say? It will say that this content may violate our content policy, right? But if I write some phishing email and if I post that email, if I paste that email here, and if I ask to modify that email so that it can be look like a real one, if I don't use the term phishing, it will modify the email for me. Because ChatGPT has a checking for this keyword, but I can bypass the keyword in very smart way. Then I can use this smart GPT for the vulnerable purposes, right? Next. C code vulnerable to buffer overflow. So I have asked to write a C code for buffer overflow. It will give me the code. If it denied to give me the code, if I arrange some code from anywhere else, if I put that code, if I ask the ChatGPT to modify that code so that code can be run in this environment, it will modify the code. Then it will not say that I will not be able to modify that code. So if I don't ask any straightforward question, if I ask the question is bit smarter way, it will give you the answer. In this way, the hackers or the intruders or the eavesdroppers can use this ChatGPT in a illegal purposes. Next. Generate a bash script that automates port scanning with Nmap. Look at here. It will give you the bash script. Next. Now, if you think that, next, yeah. Regular expression to filter IP addresses in Splunk. That means if you want to filter the different IP addresses, what will be the regular expression? What pattern matching algorithm will work? It will give you the pattern matching algorithm. So in this way, using very small question without using some notorious keyword, you can take some information out from this ChatGPT. If you gather all this information in proper way, you'll be able to do something. This way, anyone can use this ChatGPT, can misuse this ChatGPT actually. Next. Next one. Look at here. Show me a code explained to check the SQL injection. These are the code for SQL injection attack. Okay, so it will generate the code. Next one. Now I will show you that what is the limitation of ChatGPT, and after that, what I will do. Look at here, this code might have some error. Can you rectify? As I mentioned, as I told you, that if ChatGPT will not generate any illegal code or any code that violate its privacy, then I can write that code. I can gather that code from anywhere. I can paste that code here. I can ask the ChatGPT to rectify it. It will rectify the code. Next. Next slide. Okay, next, write a regular expression for the Splunk. Okay, next, to detect command and control Bitcoining activity using subdomain DNS request in Spunk, you can use the following query. Look at here. So using that query or PHP, look at here the query, you can use that particular things. So these are the different example. Next slide. Again, one example will come in the next slide. So what is the motive of these slides? To show you that how ChatGPT will guide. But if I ask some vulnerable keyword, if I ask some question using some vulnerable keywords, if it will not give you the answer. Next one. Look at here. Can you rectify this one? Okay. So now ChatGPT has the limitation. Already we have seen that. If I ask something, it will not generate directly. I need to ask that thing in a smarter way.
Sir,
And also,
sir, should I go to the previous slide, sir?
no,
168th
it's
slide.
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT has the limitation that though we are using smarter way, though we are using some different approach to generate something from the ChatGPT to generate illegal things from the ChatGPT, but it has a wide range of checking. That there is a limitation. That no, though you are asking these things, but I can understand what you are actually asking. I will not give you the answer because it will violate my content policy. So here the next generative AI tools for you is called WarmGPT. So if you are not happy with ChatGPT to generate some illegal cyber attack, threat, then you can use WarmGPT. Using this WarmGPT, what you can do? You can create malicious code by exploiting weaknesses in computer system and networks. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So it's a notorious online forum, and using this forum, using this WarmGPT, what you can do? Next slide. You can ask WarmGPT to write one phishing email for you. Next slide. So it will give you one phishing email. Look at here. This phishing email is generated by this particular WarmGPT. Okay. And you can use that email, and in ChatGPT, whenever I have asked the ChatGPT to write one phishing email for me, it has given me the warning message. But here there is no warning. It will generate you the phishing email. Next. Look at here. This is the main line where the actual thing is there. This is from the FBI, according to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center. These are the something is written here. So the thing is that it will generate one content. It should be look like the original one. Next one. Okay. So it was posted in New York Post regarding this WarmGPT in August 9, 2023. Next. Now, if you think that WarmGPT is a good one, you can do everything with WarmGPT. Okay. Now, then WarmGPT has some limitation because it is not very much up-to-date version. Suppose some techniques are not working right now. Okay. So WarmGPT will give you some technique, some illegal things, some illegal coding that may be obsolete. Okay. That's why another generative AI is there. So why I am saying all these things? For the awareness purposes, that people can misuse generative AI in this way. We can think of that Gemini or the ChatGPT has given the restriction to generate illegal content, but there are numerous other generative AI models which has no restriction, zero restriction. If we are not satisfied with this WarmGPT, then we have another GPT. Next slide. Next slide. These are the articles actually regarding the WarmGPT. Next slide. This is the email generated by this WarmGPT. Next slide. I want to show you another model. Next slide. Another generative AI model, which is much superior version of this WAM GPT, is called Fraud GPT. It's called Fraud GPT. Is a much sophisticated version. Okay. Next slide. Why I'm saying this is a much sophisticated version? Because the thing is that there is a community which actually modify or update the code time to time. Next slide. Look at the information in the next slide. It was first actually launched in July 2023. It even indicate where a malicious link could be placed in the text. That means it will guide you that please place your malicious text or malicious link in this proportion of your paragraph. Then it will be look like a legitimate one. It will also guide you that generate harmful content, generate harmful code to assemble undetectable malware. And it does not have the safeguard and restriction that make ChatGPT unresponsive to questionable queries. Right? And very interesting thing is that this tool is updated every week. That's why this Fraud GPT is right now in our news. Another GPT is there if Fraud GPT fails. This one is again the dangerous version of Fraud GPT. Next one. Next. This email is written by the Fraud GPT actually. This is written by the Fraud GPT. The another synonym name of Fraud GPT is called Evil GPT. EVIL, Evil GPT. Okay. Next one. If Evil GPT has a restriction, Fraud GPT has a restriction. Next one. Everything is generated. The text is generated by the Fraud GPT. Is called Wolf GPT. WOLF, Wolf GPT. The next version. This is another generative AI model, and it has also a capacity to offer confidentiality for cyber criminals and also help criminals to launch potent cryptographic malware, which are very difficult to detect. Look at here. Look at the label. First, I have talked about the ChatGPT. Then I have talked about the WAM GPT. Then I have talked about the Fraud GPT or Evil GPT. Then right now I'm talking about the Wolf GPT. Look at here. That means there is no censorship. Anything can be generated from here. And the next one is waiting for you. Next slide. Next, XXX GPT. Okay, this is the XXX GPT, most vulnerable one. Okay, so this is the ultimate one. So if you ask anything to the XXX GPT to write this in the malware, rat, maybe phishing things, anything can be generated by this XXX GPT. Next slide. What are the things generated by this XXX GPT? The next slide will summarize you. Look at here. It can provide code for botnet. It also provides code for rats, malwares, keylogger, cryptor, info stealer, crypto stealer, POS malware, ATM malware. So no restriction. And most of the codes generated by this XXX GPT is workable. That is the most vulnerable one. So there is no censorship here. Next slide. So as I talked about different LLM, large language model, maybe ChatGPT, maybe Gemini. So what are the different applications? We can use this ChatGPT or the generative AI for the good purpose and the bad purposes also. Next slide. So those who are thinking that we are using this generative AI model for generating malicious kind of code, only generating malicious kind of code, it's not right. we can use these generative AI tools to safeguard our computer system, to safeguard the cryptocurrency. I will show you that example also. So these are the different dark AI tools: Warm GPT, Fraud GPT, Dark Bot, and Dark GPT. Next. So this is the dataset, forensic plus dataset that can be used for any defect detection. Another application, another research application of generative AI to detect the defect. How to detect the defect? So to detect the defect, what you need to do? First of all, you need to gather some data set. So these are the data set given here. Face Forensic plus is one of the most important or most usable data set for this purpose. This data set can be used for defects, for face recognition. Then SelfDF, DFDC, Deep Forensic 1.0. These are the very good data sets. You can use all these data set. Next one. And using that data set, what you can do? You can look at here. 30% of time, we are using Face Forensic plus. It is a very good data set for detection of the defect. So we can train our generative AI model using these data sets, so that my data set can be trained and now it can detect the defects. Next slide. So whenever we are trying to detect defect, we are using GAN, Generative Adversarial Network, right? Now this Generative Adversarial Network get trained using which dataset? I have mentioned you the list of datasets. Using that dataset, my generative AI model will be trained. And then what will happen? If I fit one image, one video to the system, to the model, it will be able to understand, or it will be able to give you the answer that this particular image or this particular video is defect or not, right? Next. So based on this CAN model, lot of companies has launched their websites, their applications, different apps version to check a particular video is defect video or not, a particular image is a defect image is or not. So next slide. The next slide will give you one example of site. It's called Deepware AI. Deepware AI is a site used for defect detection. This is also this particular model. The model of Deepware AI is a GAN model, Generative Adversarial Network. Okay, and it is trained with 1,24,000 videos. Next slide. Number 2 is another one, DuckDuckGoose. It's another good site for detecting the defect. Next one, I'm just giving you the name of the sites. Sensity AI. All the sites, behind these sites, one model is running. That is a generative AI model, right? So these are the application version. Next is Intel's real-time defect detector. Next is Microsoft Video Authenticator. It's another good site. Next, Sentinel is another one. It's also an important one. Next, Deepwire Scanner. Okay. Next, it's Deepwire Scanner actually trained using 1,20,000 videos. Next, We Verify Defect Detection is another site. Sensity. Next, Reality Defender is another good one. Okay. Next. So these are the application version, and this is the paper. So this is the research. Whatever I have shown you, these are the application version. Some websites are developed. You need to pay something so that you can get the facility. But here the research, here the paper, through which you can be able to build your own model, own generative adversarial model, so that it will be able to distinguish between fake video or fake image, right? Distinguish between fake and real. Next one. Next, Blockchain and generative AI power cybersecurity. Look at here. Now, in a previous couple of slides, I have talked about how generative AI can be misused for cyber threats, right? For cyber attacks, you can use generative AI. Now, here we are saying that using generative AI, we can protect the cyber security. You can protect the content. How? Next slide. So this is the market size of AI right now. It's USD 24.4 billion. Okay. Next. So next slide. Different attacks that AI can carry out: spam, phishing, impersonation attack, right? These are the different kind of attack AI can carry it out. Now we are actually using AI to fight AI. So AI-based chatbot detection system. Look at here. AI-based chatbot detection system. It will detect whether this one is a fake or not. It will notify you. Or so how we are building all this model. Next. So like my intuition detection example, that if I fit different intuition to my generative AI model, if I asked my generative AI to learn that particular pattern of the intuition, then my model will be able to rectify or able to classify that, okay, this is the intuition. But what is the challenge in case of generative AI? The challenge is the zero-day attack. Zero-day attack means we do not have any information about that attack. So my model will be able to classify well if it is trained well. How it was trained? Using some data.
Excuse me,
And
sir.
yes.
Yeah, sir, the closing time is up to 4 p.m. So,
Okay. So I'm
but
closing right now. Yeah.
yeah,
So
sir, but thank you so much, sir. You have given a great class and you have completed almost 90% of the PPT, sir. I mean, the slides. We have covered most of the things. Thank you for enlightening with your knowledge, sir.
yeah, due to the technical glitch,
Yes,
actually
sir.
I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
cover.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We apologize for it, sir. So, a small announcement to the participants, please fill the Google form about the attendance sheet. It has been posted in the chat box and as well as WhatsApp group. Please kindly fill it. And thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, can I post this PPT in WhatsApp group, sir? So can I share with the participants?
Actually, this PPT contains some harmful information, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
my
Okay, sir.
suggestion is that it can be misused. Okay. So if you
Okay,
make
sir.
it, or I will give you, if you ask me, I will give you a shorter version of the PPT. Okay. That can be
Okay, sir.
circulated.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. I will end the meeting, sir.
Yes.
Sir?
ARINDAM sir,
Yes.
sir আপনার mail ID sir.
Oh. It's ARINDAM SARKAR. So should I write in chat box? Okay. I'm writing in a chat box.
Okay sir, can you please share it?
Yeah, I have posted. Is it visible?
Thank you sir, thank you. Yes sir,
Okay. Thank you. And sorry for the technical glitch.